Hey guys, welcome back to Hook with Anime. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Arc 1. Into the four houses. The sky was a crimson goldenrod, meaning that the sun just set, and the unknowing villagers of Konohagakure no Sato were preparing to go to bed. Well, except one, that is. That person is Naruto Uzumaki, age 7, and academy student in the Konoha Ninja Academy. The reason he was out so late was because he is an orphan, and one of the few that weren't adopted. Nothing was wrong with him to his knowledge. He was nice, energetic, and fun to be around, once you got to know him. He always had a smile on his face, always tried to be a good boy. He also had a huge prankster's side. When a member of the humongous village saw his dubbed, foxy grin, they knew something was about to go down. The villagers, however, always found a reason to blame him for something, even the smallest things. The villagers treated him like the plague, never harming him, but never going out of their way to talk or help him. As he was going to visit the Hokage, or as he calls him, GJII, to talk about how the mean orphanage matron kicked him out 3 weeks ago, saying he was old enough to fend for himself. He knew it was a lie, because he saw children older than him in there, mocking him behind her back, not that she wouldn't do anything to them. He currently was taken in to temporarily stay with Neko, and she gave him the basics of kenjutsu, since he wouldn't shut up about it. He just left the Higorishi store, one of the 3 places in Konoha that treated him like everyone else. He had to get some new clothes, as he saved up the measly allowance that the matrons threw at him at the beginning of each month. He bought a creme shirt, with gray swirl patterns, a thin gray fur-lined jacket, a pair of tan baggy pants with plenty pockets, and a pair of tan geta. He also bought a kunai for emergencies. Just because he was 7 didn't mean he was stupid. He knew of the villagers' feelings towards him. As he was walking to the Hokage's office after thanking the kind woman that owned the store, he heard different noises. For some reason, Naruto had enhanced hearing and sight. He didn't tell old man Hokage about his gifts, because he didn't want the old man to worry about him. He heard screaming, and then he heard a man's voice. He ran to where he heard the noise. What he saw disgusted him to the fullest. He saw in an alleyway a man attempting to sexually abuse a teenage girl. The girl looked in fear towards the man. Please don't do this," she pleaded to the man. The man sneered, and said, "Shut the fuck up, unless you want me to kill you. Just take it, and there won't be any problems." Naruto couldn't take it anymore, and ran to the man, in hopes of saving the girl. He pulled out the kunai he just bought, and jammed it in the man's back, surprising both man and girl. The man howled in pain, and pulled it out. He saw who stabbed him, and smirked. "Well, looky here, here's the fox brat. I get to get easy sex, and kill the fox," he said, making Naruto and the girl wonder what he was talking about. Naruto cocked his head to the side, avoiding a kunai to the face. "Old man, the hell you talking about?" He smirked, and said proudly, "You see, I know why you are disliked in the village." "Oh yeah, I know. You see, Fox, 7 years ago, the great and terrible Kyuubi no Kitsune was sealed in your gut. We don't hate you for that, that would be stupid. Even we know that you, a baby, couldn't kill all that died on that terrible day, but we hate the demon in you. That's why we are so distant from you, afraid you will turn on us. That's why we don't harm you, afraid that the demon will take your body over, and go on rampage," he said, as he punched Naruto in the face, and threw the kunai, hitting Naruto in the gut. Naruto's eyes widened, and gave a silent scream. Naruto just laid there, and the man turned to the terrified girl. "Your turn, girlie. Time to," he froze. He felt something he never thought he would feel. His body felt so dirty, and he wished he would die. He turned towards the feeling, and saw Naruto glaring at him, hate intensified. Naruto didn't know what he was doing, but he knew he wanted the man to feel what the girl would feel if he went through with the disgusting act. The man looked into Naruto's eyes, and shivered, as his eyes went from a dull blue to an electric blue, bright and furious. Naruto could feel a change in his mind, and suddenly knew what he was doing. He didn't have a clue what genjutsu were, but he knew illusions. He pretty much had them every day of his life. He knew then what he was doing to the man, and he liked it. This man deserved to feel like she would. He focused his mind on the depressing feelings that a rape victim would feel, based on the emotions the girl was portraying. He then sent the illusion to the man, and then... Ah! The man was screaming, with white-hot tears streaming down his face. The man just wanted to curl up into a ball, and die. Naruto took this chance to end his misery, misery that he injected into the man. Naruto grabbed his lone kunai while the man was screaming, crying, and muttering, "Please stop, I'll be good, I swear." Naruto shook his head, and was about to end the poor man's life, when a hand grabbed his arm, successfully stopping him. Naruto looked towards the hand, and saw the girl crying, and she hugged him, calming Naruto's mind. Naruto hugged her back, to cease her tears. When the Anbu and the Hokage arrived on the scene, to see what could cause the noise, they saw a shocking scene. They saw a man curled in a ball, crying and muttering, "Please go away, I swear," was all that could be heard. They saw Naruto being hugged by a girl, which was a surprise, since Naruto almost never showed emotions, as his Anbu guard taught him the bare basics of Anbu training, since Naruto claimed they were super cool heroes. His guard, Neko, was his favorite, and Raven was his second. The Hokage allowed them to take off their masks, though Neko did even before the Hokage allowed it, since she had gotten close to the boy in the few days they knew each other. The Anbu with him consisted of Raven, Neko, Inu, Hubby, and Weasel. They looked at the scene, and wondered what happened to the man. They knew it wasn't the Kyuubi, since they didn't feel the dark and bloodthirsty aura of Naruto's chakra. Neko walked to Naruto, and pried the girl from Naruto. "Naru-chan, what happened? What happened to that man?" she asked softly. Naruto looked to the others, and they nodded, giving him permission to tell what happened. "Well, I was leaving the Higorishi store, after buying some new clothes and a kunai, and was about to go to Gigi's office to tell that I was kicked out, and living with you for a while, and I heard a scream, and that man's voice. I wanted to know what was happening, so I ran to the noise. That man was about to rape this girl, and I ran to him, and stabbed him in the back. He was pissed, and told me about the Kyuubi being sealed in my stomach, and stabbed me in my stomach. I almost passed out, but I had to save that girl." He paused, to gauge their expressions. By then, every Anbu had taken off their masks, and was staring at Naruto, waiting for the end of his story. The Hokage was saddened, because the boy knew of his burden. Naruto continued. "Then I felt something deep in my body, and in my eyes. Then suddenly, I knew what it was. I felt that I could make illusions, and so I did. I made that excuse for a human feel the pain and misery that she would have felt if he would have been able to rape her, and I guess he went into shock from the emotions," he finished, making everyone's eyes bulge a bit. That was a deadly ability to have, especially dangerous to those that pissed Naruto off. Luckily he had emotions training. Everyone present looked at Naruto in awe. The Hokage looked at Naruto and asked him softly, "Naruto-kun, do you know what this gift is called?" Everyone hung on that question, and were waiting on the boy's answer. Naruto looked deep in thought, before his eyes widened. "It's called the Kenzanoi." The Anbu thought as was a fitting name, Clear Eye. Sarutobi hugged Naruto. "I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. Sorry that I had to keep that secret from you. You have to understand that it was for your protection." Naruto hugged him back, and said, "It's okay, Gjii. I really don't care that the fox is in me. It'll just be a part of me, and plus, foxes are tricksters, so I guess it'll help that I have the strongest fox in the universe in me, nay?" Everyone chuckled. Leave it to Naruto to joke about something like that. Then they got serious. They looked at the girl, still clinging to Naruto like a lifeline. Neko asked the girl, "What is your name?" The girl didn't want to talk, but with a bit of coaxing from Naruto, she finally got the courage to speak. "My name is Teppomizu Akira, member of the Tatsumaki clan." The Hokage's eyes widened. She was royalty. He looked at Naruto, whom just hugged the girl. Sarutobi then ordered Inu to go retrieve the Tatsumaki clan head, and tell her to assemble a council meeting, to deliberate the actions that have happened a short while ago. Council meeting. Sarutobi, Naruto, Akira, and Neko walked in the building. Naruto looked at the circle of gathered people, and saw what he knew were the clan heads. There sat Hyuga Hiyashi, the only Hyuga to be able to close all 128 tenketsu in a shinobi's body. He was made clan head at 19. He was the epitome of stoic. Next was Nara Shikaku, the Nara clan head. He was the laziest ninja of his generation. By him was Amikichi Choza, the second member of the legendary Shika Ino Cho cell. He was a burly, muscular man, however, he was very kind towards people. Next to the man, was Yamanaka Inoichi, the final member of the cell. He was the head of the T&I in Konoha. Besides him was Inazuka Sume, the most feral woman in Konohagakure. She was the fastest and strongest kunoichi. She firmly believed in loyalty and honor. Aburame Shibi was the second most stoic shinobi, though all Aburame were stoic, and for good reason. They held kakiku bugs in their bodies, helping them, and giving them a special gift. Haruno Sakume was the civilian Haruno clan head. She attempted to become a kunoichi, but was forced to quit in the academy, because of her blatant infatuation with the Uchiha clan head Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku was the Uchiha clan head, as well as the head of the Konohagakure police force. Lastly, sat Tatsumaki Shushu, head of the Tatsumaki clan 4 houses. She also was the head of the Taifu house, was the sole holder of the Hyakurai, or 1000 Thunderclaps bloodline. She was usually a very kind-hearted woman, but tonight she was beyond angry, fully showing why she was named Shushu. And in the front of them all was the Hokage, and head of the Sarutobi clan. He was tired, but had to talk about the newest discovery. He cleared his throat. Council, I have brought the meeting to attention for 2 reasons. The first is young Uzumaki here, and the second having to do with Tatsumaki clan. Everyone looked surprised, and Sume spoke their thoughts. Hokage-sama, what does this meeting have to do with the pup? She asked. She never had any problems with the young Uzumaki, as her son and Naruto were friends in the academy. However, Sakume did dislike the boy. For reasons known to everyone, she was among the small group of villagers that hated Naruto with a passion. Hokage-sama, I see you finally came to your senses, and decided to do away with the brat. The Hokage had no time to speak, because surprisingly, Naruto did. And I see you finally show how much of an idiot you are. Everyone, even Hiyashi, started to chuckle, though Fugaku held it in. Must not laugh, Uchiha are too powerful to laugh, he thought. He did smirk though. She yelled at him, and produced a small amount of ki at him, which he shrugged off. Boy, shut up, you are luck. She was cut off, and screamed, holding her ears, which confused everybody in the room. Everyone looked towards the Hokage, hoping for their silent question to be answered. The old man sighed, and said, Naruto-kun, please cut the illusion. Everyone looked in confusion towards the blonde, and saw him close his eyes, and the screaming ceased. Sakume looked in hatred at the boy. What did you do to me, demon? The air temperature dropped greatly. Even Fugaku and Hiyashi were slightly afraid about what was about to happen, and they were right to be scared, as what happened shortly after would forever be in their minds. Sarutobi tried to cease the danger of the woman, but he was too late, as Naruto already called out, Kudakero, Kyoka Suigetsu. 1, and all hell broke loose. The whole room shimmered, showing that everyone there was caught in his illusion. Even Fugaku couldn't break it to save everyone. They appeared in Konoha, during the day, which gave away the illusion, yet they still couldn't break it, no matter which method they used. All they could do was search for the caster, and somehow get her to break it himself. With Sakume was walking around Konoha, as happy as can be. She passed the Hokage's tower, about to go get her pride and joy, her daughter Haruno Sakura from the Ninja Academy. She passed the Higorishi store, and saw the academy, and suddenly, the academy burst into flames. Boom. She tried running to the academy to save her daughter, but she felt weird, like she couldn't move, and she had no experience in the illusion arts. She ran as fast as her legs would take her, but instead of taking her to the academy, she ended up running past the Hokage tower again. She then repassed the Higorishi store as well, and saw the academy, still in flames. She then heard her child's screams of agony, and she began crying. I'm coming to save you, sweetie. She yelled, seemingly to no one. She tried to run to the academy, and she finally succeeded. She was so close to the academy, but then as if it were a mirage, she appeared back at the Hokage tower. She broke down, pounding the ground, hot white tears burning the earth. Damn it, why can't I do this? I was so close, so close. She finally lost it. Ah! She screamed to the heavens, as if to somehow get Kami herself to stop the torture. With the others the Hokage sighed, and so did everyone else. They were only going in circles, and they couldn't even sense Naruto's chakra. Suddenly, they heard the shrill scream, and their senses were going haywire. Then, Shushu felt something in the air. Hokage-sama, I feel young Uzumaki. I can taste it. She said, her bloodline giving her the ability to feel the particles in the air. Everyone's in fact. Naruto's were slightly stronger than the rest, most likely because of the fact that he created the illusion. Sume used her nose to pinpoint his general direction. She pointed towards the Hokage's tower, and Hiyashi activated his Byakugan. I see him, he on the top of the tower, he announced, and they shunshined towards him, luckily reaching him, most likely because his attention all on Sukume. The third tried to get his attention. Naruto, please stop. She's learned her lesson. He pleaded with the boy, but his plea fell on deaf ears. Fugaku tried to gain control over the boy with his fully activated Sharingan, but it was assumed that unless Naruto willed it to happen, then anything was useless. They knew they were in deep if they couldn't reason with him. Shushu walked up to him, and hugged the boy. She had a hunch that he never knew maternal contact, from the way Sarutobi described the actions that went down earlier. Please, I beg you Naru-chan, stop this right now. She's sorry, and she won't do it again, I swear. She promised softly. The illusion wavered a bit, and everyone present knew that what she was saying was working. Naruto wanted to believe her so bad, he had a feeling that she would keep her word. He ended up crying, and saying, it hurts so bad being called a demon. I never done nothing to her, and she is mean to me. He sobs out, making Shushu tear up, and hugged him even closer to her. She kept talking to him. I know it hurts. Naru-kun, do you have a home? She asked, knowing the answer, but she wanted to hear it from his own mouth. He shook his head. No, they kicked me out, nobody wants me. He screamed out in sorrow and anguish. She openly started crying. Well, how would you like to come to my clan? We would love to have you, and you could have a family that loves you. I have hundreds of clan members, and all of them could help you be a better ninja, and to get your bloodline under control. Would you like that? She asked softer than usual. Naruto's control over his emotions and the illusion were broken with that question. Naruto ceased the illusion, and everything returned to Naruto, though Sukume was still shaken up. Sarutobi woke her up, and she glared at Naruto with all the hate she could muster. Hokage-sama, I demand you sentence him to death, or I will put him down like the animal he is myself, she screamed. Naruto looked at her with a deadpan expression, and was about to say something, but Shushu beat him to it. You dare even attempt to harm the newest member of the Tatsumaki clan, a member of the Taifu house? She asked, shocking everybody. Any clan head had the right to adopt any orphan, though they were denied by the civilian council. So far, the clans denied by the council were the Hyuga, Amikichi, Aburame, and the Yamanaka clans. However, they could not deny the Tatsumaki clan's claim. They slightly held more power over the council, and didn't follow the civilians' way of thinking. Everyone in the Tatsumaki clan respected the boy. A merchant, by the name of Hiro Nakayama, also a die-hard Naruto hater, spoke his opinion. Tatsumaki-sama, why would you even think of something that preposterous? Why the fox brat, instead of someone more worthy? He asked, hate clear in his tone. Naruto scoffed. Are all the civilians idiots? I am a child, not the freaking Kyuubi no Kitsune. And one more word about demons. I swear I will activate Kyoka Suigetsu again, and I promise that Tatsumaki-sama won't save you, he responded. The Hokage decided to intervene, and get to the main point of the meeting. Shut up, all of you. The main reason I called this meeting, is to tell you that we have a mentally disturbed civilian, and it's due to Naruto-kun here. Now, before you claim the Kyuubi has been released, he saved Akira-chan here. Hearing the old man say that, everyone's eyebrows raised, and even the Naruto haters listened. He continued. You see, Naruto, kicked out of the orphanage, was staying with Neko-chan here, and went to buy some new clothes, and as he was leaving, he heard some noise and two voices. You see, he overheard a man about to defile little Akira, and threw the kunai he bought at the man, to distract him from hurting her. The kunai hit, but only slowed him down, and he hit Naruto. After that, he told Naruto the reason why the civilian clans hated him, and tried to finish off Naruto, and continue to rape her. Naruto unlocked his bloodline, and put up an illusion, making the man feel the emotions of a rape victim, causing him to go into shock. He finished. Everyone was speechless. The Tatsumaki head asked the million-dollar question. What is young Naruto's bloodline called? She asked. Naruto answered for him. It's called the Kenzanoi. It gives me the ability to create illusions of any kind, anytime I want. I can't turn off the dojutsu either. Everyone decided that night to start over their opinions about the boy. Demons didn't save girls from the worst possible thing ever. They were the ones to do the raping. So if he saved her, then he was definitely human. The Hokage smirked at their facial expressions. He knew they were thinking about their treatment of the boy. The man was right. They never hurt him physically, but luckily for Naruto that he was just adopted before he was mentally dead. You see. You assumed he was evil, but now you realize how innocent he is. Now, the meeting is adjourned. You may return to your homes and families now, he said, as he was about to talk to Naruto, but when he looked for the boy, he saw both him and Akira curled on the floor, sleeping. Jutsu List. Chapter 2. Arc 1. Academy Life, Taifu Life. Naruto woke up in a strange room. However, since the room was not dangerous in his eyes, he didn't pay it any mind. That didn't mean he wasn't wary of his surroundings. He didn't live this long in an orphanage this long without being careful. He groaned, as he stretched his body, and popped his joints in place. He heard footsteps coming towards the room, so he tensed. The door opened up, and a woman walked in the room, and set some clothes on the dresser. "Ohayo Taifu-sama. How are you this morning?" she asked, confusing Naruto. Naruto cocked an eyebrow. "Taifu? I thought my last name was Uzumaki," he said. She giggled. "Silly, you were adopted last night. You are now a member of the Tatsumaki clan, of the Taifu house, the strongest house in the clan. You are now royalty," she informed him, making his eyes widen. Naruto promptly fainted. 3 hours after he passed out, he woke up in the room he saw earlier. This time, the woman who convinced him to release Kyoka Suigetsu was sitting on the bottom of the bed. She saw him stir in bed, and knew he was awake. "How are you this morning, Naruto?" she asked softly. Naruto poked his head from under the covers. "I feel weird. The only home I ever had was Neko-chan's house, and now I'm royalty. I have a question though. Why did you adopt me?" "I am a normal orphan, only with a dojutsu," he said downcast. She shook her head, and pulled him from under the covers. She hugged him, and said, "Not only that, but you have potential, and are a kind person. You could have killed that man, or simply raped Akira-chan as well. Instead, you save a girl you didn't even know, because you felt that it was the right thing to do, and punished the man who committed the crime greatly. That proved you have limitless honor. And that's what the Taifu house is about. Honor, love, and compassion are what we represent, and what you will as well." Naruto teared up, and Shushu wiped his tears away, and he began asking questions. "Can you tell me about the 4 houses?" he queried. She smiled, and nodded. "Well, I'll start with the Taifu house. We are the strongest Suiten users in the entire clan, though everyone can use it powerfully. Also, we are the only Kenjutsu Genjutsu clan in Konoha, and one of the strongest in the elemental nations, second to the famed Kagayoshi clan of Kirigakure. Our house crest is the Hana Wachigai crest, which is a circle, with a diamond in the middle, and inside that diamond is a flower. The Hurricane house is next. They are the best taijutsu users in our clan, and will teach anyone in the clan any taijutsu if they so wish. Their crest is the Unbound Vision crest, which is a circle, with 2 wings with a swirl at the end, with an eye in the middle, which represents the eye of the storm, and their endless wisdom and foresight. Next is the Teppomizu house. They are the ninjutsu specialists, and they are the holders of our prized ninjutsu scrolls. Their crest is the Tomo Hachiman crest, which is a circular-shaped crest, with a spinning tomo inside it, which shows their power since the Tomo Hachiman is a tribute to the god of war, Hachiman. And finally, the Arashi house. Their crest is the Mon crest, which consists of a bold black line, with 3 circles in a triangle shape underneath, meaning nothing is beneath them. They are a well-rounded house, which means they use all 3 ninja facets. And the people in the clan that don't wish to be a shinobi may become maids if they wish, or babysitters for the young ones. However, we are not the Hyuga clan. We do not put seals on our family members. So, was that informational enough for you, Naruto? She asked. Naruto was in information overload currently, and took him 5 minutes to fully process the information he received. "So, what am I going to do about clothes? This outfit is the only one I have," he said sadly. She smirked. "Well, you don't have to worry about that, Naruto. You can either wear clan-issue clothing, or buy them. Now that the idiot council has apparently changed their views about you. Though I wouldn't let your guard down, it could be a trick, just be wary near them," she advised. Naruto smiled. Then she continued talking. "Also, now that you are in the Tatsumaki clan, Naruto, you will have to have a tutor. I looked over your grades, and one of the Arashi house members did an evaluation of your teachers, and we didn't like the results. One of your sensei at the academy clearly sabotaged your learning there, and thus is why your grades are so poor. So we will rectify that. Now, when you get out of the academy today, your private lessons will begin, and I will teach you a jutsu to quicken your learning pace, though you must never use this jutsu in battle. It is a chakra waster, and makes you dependent on the jutsu. So, go to the bathhouse, and get dressed. Your clan clothes are on the bench on the side of the bathhouse, she told him as she left. Naruto was about to get out of bed, but she walked back in. Oh, I almost forgot. Akira wanted to thank you, so she will see you after you return, she said. Naruto nodded, and went to the bathhouse. He never felt that good in his life. The water washed his stress away, and he just melted in the water. 45 minutes later, he still was in heaven, until a member of the Teppomizu house was sent to retrieve him. Naruto-sama, it's time for the academy. Go get dressed, and meet me in the front of the compound, she said. Naruto sighed, and vowed to return to his new favorite place in the compound. What was selected for him was a gray shirt with the Hana Wachigai crest on the back, slightly tucked in a pair of loose black pants, with a white belt tied in a bow around his midsection, called shimenawa. There was a pair of gray geta for him to wear. He had to say, it wasn't orange, but it had style. As he was walking to the front, he saw the person whom was going to be accompanying him to the academy. Naruto had to take a double take. She was stunningly beautiful. She was his height, long whitish blonde hair, and gray eyes, that looked as if he was staring into a hurricane. Then he noticed her having the Unbound Vision crest on her jacket, and he instantly knew she was a member of the Hurricane House. She wore a white jacket, with the crest on the back of the jacket. The jacket was sleeveless and halfway zipped, showing her curves, and black fishnet shirt. She wore some gray loose shirts with shin guards and medical bandages on her forearms and legs and feet. She had on some standard issue shinobi sandals as well. Naruto couldn't help but stare for a second. Unfortunately for him, he was staring at the wrong thing. Her breasts. As soon as he made eye contact with her, he saw her beautiful gray eyes narrow. She didn't know enough about him to classify him as a pervert, but she would make sure he wasn't. Are you staring at my chest, Naruto-sama? She asked sweetly, making him shudder. He shook his head furiously, not wanting to piss off the martial artist. She knew he was lying, so she decided to play with his mind. Ah, too bad. I was hoping you were, she said, as she pushed her breasts up, in a provocative manner, making him blush madly. I was all he could say, before he knew he was caught. Crap, he thought. She gave an evil smirk. Well, next time you stare at my chest, make sure you don't get caught, she said as she opened the door and walked out. Oh, by the way, the name's Kiko Nakatomi Hurricane, she said. Naruto heard that, and ran after her. Wait, does this mean I can look at your chest? He called out to her. He ran to her with a perverted smile on his face. Wait up. They made it to the academy, and after 20 minutes of perverse flirting on both sides, they went into the academy. Naruto's mood was shot to hell. Though he didn't get mad, or even upset, his pupils started shaking, meaning that at the slightest joke about him, hell would be unleashed. Kiko saw this, and smiled slightly. Calm down, Naruto-sama. All I can ask is not to permanently scar their brains, okay? She asked, making his mood brighten. They knocked on the door, and a brown-haired chunin, by the name of Amino Iruka, opened it. Hello, may I help you? He asked, unsure of why she was here. She nodded. I am Kiko Hurricane of the Tatsumaki clan, and as you know, this is Naruto Uzumaki Taifu. I'm sorry we're so late today, it's just that Lady Shushu had a talk with him this morning, she said, and everyone in the room heard. Mizuki was pissed. Now the brat had protection. Ino, Sakura, and Sasuke laughed. Nobody paid them any attention though, much to their ire. Iruka smiled a 100-megawatt smile. He actually missed the blonde. Ah, hey Naruto-kun, glad to have you back, he said happily. Naruto smiled back. Glad to be back, Iruka-sensei, he said, pupils still shaking. He liked Iruka, but he wouldn't put up with anyone's crap, especially Mizuki's. Kiko smiled, and turned to Naruto. I'll return to get you when the academy lets out. Have a good day, I guess, she said, as she gave him a quick peck on the cheek, making Naruto blush even harder, and Iruka laugh hard. Bye Naruto-sama. She sunshined away in a mini hurricane. Naruto was speechless, so he just walked up the aisle, and sat down next to his best friend, Kiba Inuzuka. He slapped him on the back, and chuckled. Ah, Naruto's blushing, he teased. Naruto punched him on the arm. Ouch. Kiba yipped. Naruto smirked, and Iruka began his lesson. Alright class. Time for today's lesson. The topic is, ninja strategies and stealth. Everyone besides Naruto, Sasuke, Shino, and Shikamaru groaned. Naruto because this was actually the few lessons he excelled in. How could he not? He painted the Hokage mountain in broad daylight. Naruto paid attention to the lesson. Iruka nodded, and began. Now that you know the lesson, let's begin. Who knows why shinobi needs stealth training? He asked. Naruto raised his hand, and once Iruka nodded his approval, he answered. Mainly because of the fact that shinobi hide in the shadows, and strike when the target least expects it. Iruka smiled, and Mizuki frowned. He couldn't sabotage this lesson, mainly because the boy was a genius in stealth and tactics. That is correct. Since you knew the answer to that question, answer this. If you were sent on a mission to Kumogakure, and your mission was to infiltrate the Raikage's office, what would you do to gain entrance, and how would you get the information needed by the Hokage? He asked. Everyone looked at him, expectant. Even Sasuke knew how good he was on this subject. Naruto thought about it for a minute, and smiled. He answered, well, first I would gain entrance by scoping out the obvious Anbu surrounding the office, and see what patterns I could find in their routine. Then, I would systematically take one out, and switch clothing with the Anbu agent I subdued, and take his shift. When the shift was over, I would wait until the Raikage left to go home, and then wait until the period when all Anbu switched out, and then gain entrance to the office. Then I would wait until they switched out again, and sneak out, as if nothing happened. Everyone was in shock, even Mizuki. That plan was foolproof. None could deny that he was a tactical genius. Iruka smirked. Naruto's answer was perfect, not missing a step. Good job Naruto, now moving on, he said, as he continued the lesson. Naruto was walking out the academy, and was surprised by his new friend Kiko. She smiled, and waved lightly to gain his attention. Naruto walked towards her, and smiled. Hey Kiko. How was our day? He asked, glad to see her. For some reason, he felt good around her. He didn't have to subconsciously activate Kyoka Suigetsu around them. She smiled back. Fine, we had to give one of the sensei in your class a long talk during your afternoon break. How was your day? Naruto remembered Mizuki leaving the academy grounds for a while, and came back after break pissed for some reason. Naruto paid him no mind, because if he came at Naruto pissed, he would swiftly activate Kyoka Suigetsu. Naruto shook his head of those thoughts. It was fine. We talked about tactics and stealth, and I kicked ass, he shouted. She smirked, and sneakily draped an arm around his shoulder, though Naruto caught on, and snaked his arm around her waist. She felt his warm arm around her, and she grinned. So soon Naruto-sama? You'd have to buy me dinner first, she whispered so only he heard it. Naruto blushed furiously, and turned his head away from her, making her laugh at his embarrassment. As they reached the compound, Naruto sported a massive nosebleed, reasons unknown, besides the fact that Naruto would forever cherish his right hand. They opened the door, and saw Shushu waiting on them. She smiled as she saw Naruto and Kiko. Naru-chan, Kiko-chan. Nice to have you home. Naruto, how was the academy? She asked. Naruto smiled, and answered, pretty good. Had my favorite lesson today, which I aced. She nodded, and saw how Naruto was looking at Kiko out of the corner of his eyes. Ah, Naru-chan. Whatcha looking at? She asked, letting Naruto know who he was looking at. Naruto shook his head at a breakneck speed. Nothing, he chirped. Shushu smirked. Well, now that you are here, we can get to training. Go and get dressed into your training clothes. They are on your bed, and I want you to wrap your limbs in medical tape, to protect your bones, she told him. He just ran off to his room, and went to get dressed. Meanwhile, Kiko and Shushu had a little talk. So, what's going on between you and Naru-chan? She asked Kiko. Said girl shrugged her shoulders. Naruto-sama is a pervert, and I like messing with him, that's it, she said, as she blushed. The Tatsumaki clan head snorted. That blush says otherwise. You already have a crush on him. Well, I really could care less about it, just don't hurt him, otherwise you will end up hurting yourself, she said cryptically. She left, to go to the training grounds, to train her pupil, clan member. About 10 minutes later, Naruto walked outside. He was wearing a simple white shirt, with a pair of black hakama. He went barefoot, with his feet wrapped up, and arms wrapped to his elbow as well. His tutor was none other than Kiko, and she wore the same thing he did, and he knew this was standard dress for all that trained. He looked at her as a future enemy, which was expected of those training. No other emotions were supposed to be shown on the training grounds. Neko and Weasel taught him that. They gave him the basic training to survive in the harsh village of Konoha. Kiko spoke to him. From here on out, we will train your taijutsu. No ninjutsu or genjutsu, or else I will not go easy on you. She threatened, causing him to smirk. What's so funny? She asked. Naruto simply said, don't hold back, I heal easy. And with that, he settled into a sloppy taijutsu stance. He closed his eyes and opened them, only to find that Kiko was missing. He felt a fist in his gut. He almost threw up his lunch, but barely held it in. He tried to move out of the way, but a swift kick to the shins stopped all movement. Never lose focus of your enemy. Kiko's cold voice said. Get up. I will fix your poor taijutsu if I have to break all of your bones to make your body learn the movements. Naruto struggled to stand up. When he finally did, she disappeared again, only to punch him in the jaw, sending him into a tree. She launched another kick to his face, only for him to narrowly dodge, and punch her in the face. She grinned, not bad, but stop. I will be teaching you two styles of fighting, jujutsu and judo. Jujutsu is literally translated to art of pliance. More accurately, however, it means the art of using indirect force, such as joint locks or throwing techniques, to defeat an opponent, as opposed to direct force such as a punch or a kick. This is not to imply that jujutsu does not teach or employ strikes, but rather that the art's aim is the ability to use an attacker's force against him or her, and counterattack where they are weakest or least defended. Methods of combat included striking, kicking, punching, throwing, body throws, joint lock throws, unbalanced throws, restraining, pinning, strangulating, grappling, wrestling and weaponry. Defensive tactics included blocking, evading, off-balancing, blending and escaping. She explained. Naruto was excited, but didn't dare show it, lest she punch or kick him. She continued. Judo, literally meaning gentle way, or way of softness, is a modern grappling-based martial art, practiced primarily as a sport. It contains substantially the same emphasis on the personal, spiritual, and physical self-improvement of its practitioners. Which one do you want to learn first? Remember, we will not move on to the other until you have completely mastered the one you pick, so choose. She instructed. Naruto thought about it for a second. I picked jujutsu, so when will we start? He asked, then got a feeling in his gut that said he shouldn't have asked that particular question. He suddenly was thrown in the air, and palm thrusted as soon as he descended. He flew into a tree, and groaned. Now, was his answer. Naruto got up, and was pissed. He ran towards her, as fast as he could, and she palmed his leg, and his leg locked up, and she caught his arm, and tossed him onto the ground roughly. She shook her head. Jujutsu is about letting your opponent make mistakes, not you, so calm down, lest you want me to combine both judo and jujutsu, she said, making him shiver. Good, now we will begin your training, she said, as she created a clone of herself. Naruto, this is a Kage Bunshin. 1. It is a complete copy of myself, and can use all my styles of fighting and jutsu. You will defend yourself against it, using only the principles of jujutsu. That means no genjutsu at all, she said. Naruto swore, and prepared to defend yourself. He slipped into a rough stance, when he was assaulted by a barrage of kicks and punches. Kiko called out to him. You're too stiff, loosen up a bit. And spread your legs a little more apart, and calm yourself, she yelled. Naruto did as told, and got into the correct stance, and prepared himself for the incoming attack. He wasn't disappointed when she leapt into the air, and attempted a dropkick to his midsection, when Naruto tried to palm her legs like she did to him, but it failed, and he was launched to a tree, which seemed to be what he was going to be seeing a lot of during training. She called out with more instructions. When you palm thrust, make your palm flat and hard, and wait for the perfect time to strike. Then use a small bit of chakra, and strike. Naruto nodded internally, and straightened his palms. She reared a fist to his face, when he found his opening, and slapped her fist away with his left hand, and locked her arm with the right. Kiko smiled. He was a fast learned, though she knew he didn't want to get hit again. Good job, you got the palm strike down, so we move on to lesson 2, restraining. Okay. This is the first restraining technique that I will teach you. It is called the guillotine choke. It is a chokehold in martial arts applied from in front of the opponent. The choke involves using the arms to encircle the opponent's neck in a fashion similar to a guillotine. The technique is either a type of tracheal compression restraint, wind choke, that prevents airflow to the lungs, or a blood choke depending on how it is applied. When executed from the ground, the person applying it will try to control the opponent by the hips, for instance using a closed guard. This is done to prevent the opponent from escaping the hold, and to be able to apply additional pressure by extending the hips. It's a very effective maneuver when performed correctly, she explained to the already excited boy. Naruto processed all of that information. So, basically, the guillotine chokehold is meant to restrain and to take down opponents, right? He asked. She nodded, and commanded the Kiko cage bunshin to go by him, so he could practice it on her. Naruto circled his arms around the cage bunshin, but for some reason, he couldn't get the part down when he had to use the tracheal compression restraint. He kept trying, but to no avail. He could get the form down, but could not execute the technique. Kiko decided to help him out. Naruto, all you have to do is slightly stretch your arms, and tighten them, so you can fully execute the technique. Naruto tried what she said, and found out that she was absolutely correct. If he stretched his arms, then he could wrap his arms around her neck, and cut off her breathing pathways, and after 5 minutes, the clone poofed away, showing that he was successful. She walked up to him, and congratulated him. Good job Naruto, you can go rest now. Remember, you have training after the academy lets out. And tomorrow, Shushu-sama will teach you the cage bunshin technique, so we can get the other ninja arts down, she said, as she shunshined to the compound, and left Naruto to run to his room, and fall asleep peacefully, to rest, and to let his body get over the torture it went through today. Jutsu Corner. Chapter 3, Arc 1, Living the Ninja Life. 4 long, painful years have passed since he was adopted into the Tatsumaki clan. His skills have improved by leaps and bounds. He went from dobi to second rank in the class. Everyone was shocked when Iruka announced the stats after taijutsu sparring one day. Kiko kept her word when she said she would break all of his bones to make him better in jujutsu and judo. In fact, the only bone not broken was his spine. Every bone was at least broken twice, and it actually made his bones harder. His taijutsu was close to hers, due to light cage bunshin, 1, training. Kiko also forced him multiple times to meditate, and do chakra conservative exercises, to make it easier for him to do jutsu. When they did taijutsu training, at least 5 clones worked on various projects. The main thing the clones did were learn kenjutsu from Shushu, who was a great swordsman by the way. She didn't give him his own sword, because they made their own swords by hand, and made them from the heart, and he was a long way from being even close to good enough to be able to make his own. Naruto was at the highest level of a jujutsu user. He learned everything Kiko could teach him, and she moved him on to judo. He actually developed a technique for his jujutsu. It was named Kuki-yashi, too. However, he hadn't learned any jutsu, other than the basic jutsu and the cage bunshin. He decided to take each lesson one at a time, so he could perfect all of them to the best of his abilities. Naruto's genjutsu techniques got larger. He knew a lot of genjutsu, and created 5 new genjutsu techniques. There was a shinobi in the Tatsumaki clan that knew a bit about the art, and he helped Naruto develop and test some genjutsu on him, which helped. He found an ability of his dojutsu, one that allowed him to create a perfect illusion, that no one could break, even if they knew they were in it. They were totally dependent on Naruto to release it. And the best thing about it, was that it barely cost him any chakra, and he could trap any amount of people in it. He didn't have a name for it however. One week, Naruto decided to have a cage bunshin battle royale. It was his way of training his taijutsu, and he decided to train his mind and body with the basic academy jutsu. He accidentally mixed 2 of the jutsu together, which were the kawarmi, 3, and the bunshin jutsu, 4. When he was about to hit the cage bunshin Naruto with the clone, the original Naruto found himself switching places with the bunshin. Naruto was shocked and awed. He actually created a jutsu by accident. He decided to dub the jutsu the Kawarmi Bunshin no Jutsu. 5. After all the clones were destroyed by each other, all of their memories from their points of view rushed to Naruto. He knew how to close the gaps in his jujutsu stance, which was his legs spread apart, with one palm out forward, and the other behind him, like Neji when he's about to use the Hake Rokuhui on show. 6. Today was graduation, and he couldn't be happier. Those 4 long years flew by, and though he was accepted by the majority of Konoha now, he still kept to himself and his clan and friends. He still didn't trust Konoha. He knew they could turn on him any moment, but he wouldn't give them the chance to persecute him though. Right now, he was passing by the dango stand, and he heard a lot of noise. He heard a woman arguing with a man, and it sounded like the woman was highly pissed. He peeked his head in the stand, and saw 3 men around a woman sneering, and the woman was in a taijutsu stance that he didn't recognize, which was saying something. Kiko beat every taijutsu form into his head, literally. She actually beat him using every form of taijutsu. Even though she was insanely hot, he still kind of resented her for the long hours of staying in the clan infirmary. Naruto blinked, and when he opened his eyes, he saw one of the men struck in the throat, hard. He flew back a foot, and she punched him in the stomach, making him fly out of the stand. The second and third tried to gang up on her, and she smirked. One tried to grab her, but she was too flexible, and weaved through his grapples, and punched him in the groin, and while he was in shock, she threw a dango stick at the side of his neck, paralyzing him in his place, and she axe kicked him, sending him flying into a helpless heap by the first man. The third one possibly had the worst luck. The trench coat wearing woman actually had a snake come her sleeve, and bite the man in the groin. Naruto actually grabbed his own crotch in protection from the hot, exotic, and insane woman. Deep within Naruto, in a dark dingy gate, a 100-foot fox was shaking its head. The kid is hooked to insane women. He, maybe they'll be insane in bed. He, it thought. Naruto, for some reason, had a perverted though trickle into his head about the woman. He actually got a nosebleed, and he tried to wipe it away before the woman saw, but he failed. She saw him, and smirked knowingly. Stop. I don't want that man's fate, he thought. The man actually cried, but who wouldn't? The woman eventually got tired of his tears, and elbowed the man out of the shop. She rounded on Naruto, whose eyes got wide. You want some foxy? I'm sure I can do the same to you if you want, she told him, making Naruto pray to God that she didn't hurt him. Naruto, still in fear, said, no. Fuck that. Then he thought about it for a second. Wait. Want some of what exactly? He said with a perverted smile on his face. The woman punched him in the eye, sending him flying to a wall. He passed out with a perverted smile on his face. Naruto woke up in the academy, with that same goofy smile on his face. He was tied to his chair, with snakes. He tried to move around, and when he did, the snake slithered off of him, and spat out a scroll, and Naruto read it. It read, Foxy, I'm surprised how much of a perv you are, and you better thank Kami for you being so cute and me being in a good mood, or I would have tied you up, and castrated you with a rusty spoon. Mitarashi Anko, sexy snake mistress of Konoha. Naruto blushed at her calling him cute, and almost died inside when she told him she would castrate him with a spoon. Kiba and Sasuke smirked at him. Naruto looked his body over, to make sure everything was where it should, and he sighed in depression. He had kiss marks over his body, and cuts all over. He didn't sigh because he was sad, just because Kiba and Sasuke saw, and would never let him live this moment down. Beat up by a girl. A hot one, but still a girl. Naruto turned to them, and muttered, don't say a thing, before reaching into one of his many pockets, and pulling out a book titled, 1000 Genjutsu Horrors of the Elemental Nations, which was written by Konoha Kunoichi. Right now, he was on the 32nd Genjutsu horror, which was created by 2 ninja in Konoha. The passage read, #32 Sunset Horror, created by Konoha's own Maeda Guy and Rock Lee. It wasn't classified as a kinjutsu until the ones affected by the horrid genjutsu slightly went insane. Started as a harmless man hug, and evolved into an unbreakable genjutsu. No way to counter it, just pray that you are never subjected to it. Naruto picked up the habit of reading a book in public regardless of the consequences from his old Anbu guard Inu. He saw him reading the fabled Ika Ika, Down and Dirty, Volume 1, during an assignment that required him to watch Naruto on his birthday one year. Naruto asked the man what the book was, and why he read it, and Inu just giggled, and tossed the book to him, and told him that if one finds a good book, he just has to finish it, no matter what. There is no evidence that that faithful day was the day that turned Naruto into the pervert that he is today. However, Naruto learned not to always read the smut in public, you have to pick the right time, so he ended up reading various books on his favorite subjects, such as genjutsu. Everyone around him gets pissed at the bad habit, but they can't break it. It was too ingrained in his brain to have him kick the habit. As Iruka walked in the classroom, he had a frown on his face, as he looked to Naruto. He didn't hate him, he just hated the habit he picked up from the Inu Anbu. He himself was in Anbu, as the dolphin Anbu, and he knew very well about where he picked the habit up. Damn that Kakashi, he thought. He looked the class over, and saw that he had their attention, which was a first. He chalked it up to the fact that Naruto was nose deep in that book. He could have sworn that the Inu Anbu and Naruto were related. Class, today is a very special day. Today, you all will be tested on whether or not you become shinobi. To graduate, you will have to do the main 3, and get good marks in taijutsu and ninjutsu. He told them, and looked over the classroom. The main ones he scoped out for a reaction were Naruto, Sasuke, Shino, Sakura, Hinata, and Kiba. Naruto never even looked away from his book, but you could see a happy glint in his eye. Sasuke didn't even give off a facial expression, the stoic boy he was. Shino was the same as Sasuke, but you could tell he was ready, as he pushed up his black sunglasses. Sakura just looked at Sasuke as if she were in a dream. Hinata blushed and looked down. The reason? She looked at Naruto, and he happened to look away from his book, and winked at Hinata. Kiba looked at his two rivals, Naruto and Sasuke, to gauge their reactions. He got the ones he knew he was going to get, so he just sat back and looked cool. Overall, Iruka got the reactions he knew he was bound to receive. Now me and Mizuki will call you each in the room and test you individually, then after the solo tests are done, we will all head outside to test ninjutsu and taijutsu. First up is Aburame Shino. He shouted. Naruto just in the middle of the classroom, waiting for his turn to finally go. He put the book back in his pocket, because he knew his turn was next. Uzumaki Naruto was shouted in the room, and he walked calmly inside the room. He saw Iruka and Mizuki sitting down in chairs, behind a table, looking up from a notepad. Mizuki scowled at the sight of the boy, but didn't dare say anything to him, he could just hope that the boy failed somehow. Okay Uzumaki, we need you to do the 3 jutsu to pass the first test. First is Henge 7, he told Naruto, and Naruto simply transformed into the 3rd Hokage, and getting looks of approval of the 2 teachers. Iruka praised, nice job Naruto, but now is the Kawarmi no Jutsu. Naruto nodded, and switched places with Iruka. Well, that was easy Iruka-sensei. I'm going to be a shinobi in no time. Mizuki was growling on the inside. The boy was going to graduate. All his hopes rested on the Bunshin technique. He got his emotions in check, and announced the final jutsu. Lastly is the Bunshin no Jutsu, so if you will. Naruto smirked, and didn't use any hand signs, and produced 10 clones of himself, making Mizuki want to kill the brat. Now he had to steal the scroll himself. Congratulations Uzumaki, you passed the first test, now go tell the others to get outside for the second half of the test. He commanded the boy with a strained voice. Naruto opened the door with a smile on his face. There was no way he could hit or harm Mizuki yet, but he could make him pissed off to no end. Iruka and Mizuki-sensei said to go outside to prepare for the second part of the test. He informed them, and they listened. As everyone was outside, Iruka and Mizuki walked outside with their notepads. Mizuki spoke up. Alright, first we're going to have ninjutsu, so one by one, you will perform any jutsu you wish. Uzumaki Naruto, you're up first. Show us your jutsu. The class watched intently, as they wanted to see this. Iruka shot Mizuki a nasty glare, as he knew what Mizuki was up to. He was pushing Naruto, and said boy knew it too. Naruto gathered a small amount of chakra, and muttered, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and a clone started coming from Naruto's body, making both Iruka and Mizuki wonder why it was doing that. Regular Kage Bunshin never did that. They just poofed into existence. Naruto's shadow clone went back inside his body, grossing the girls out, Even Hinata was slightly put off. Sasuke smirked. That was the power of his rival, and Kiba as well. Naruto grinned. Was that good enough, Mizuki-sensei? He asked with a cheeky grin, very uncharacteristically. Iruka had to use all of his Anbu training not to burst into laughter at his colleague. Good job, Naruto. Next is Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke walked past Naruto and muttered, "Good job, loser. You are getting closer to the bottom of my shoes." Naruto thought about trapping him in an illusion, but decided he wasn't worth the small amount of chakra needed, so he shot back, "I try, at least for Makoto-sama. I mean, I hope that hot piece of woman was watching me." He laughed at Sasuke's patented death glare. Sasuke wanted to kill him after that remark, but decided to exact his just revenge later. He decided to show Naruto up, and shouted, "Kaden, Gukaku no Jutsu 8. A huge fireball came out of his mouth, and shot into the sky. He looked into Naruto's eye, and Naruto understood the message, "Beat that." After the last one showed their ninjutsu, they moved on to taijutsu. The instructors decided to have spars, and if they showed that they were adept at it, then they passed. First up was Sakura versus Hinata. They both walked in front of each other, and nodded. "Begin." Mizuki shouted, and they both jumped back, and got into their taijutsu stances. Sakura sneered at Hinata. "Just give up, Hinata, there's no way you can beat me. Sasuke-kun will finally notice me, and there's no way I'm letting you ruin that," she shouted. Hinata was stuck. "If I give up, would Naruto-kun be proud?" "No. I can't give up, not now," she said, her eyes glowing with resolve. Sakura lunged at her, and Hinata side-stepped, and used a palm strike to disable her right arm. Then she settled into a loose stance. She taunted her opponent by beckoning her to come again with her hands. Sakura growled, and ran again, but this time she grazed Hinata's arm, but she elbowed Sakura hard, and she tumbled to the ground. Iruka helped her up, and acknowledged Hinata as the winner. Hinata blushed at the praise, and looked in Naruto's direction. To her surprise, Naruto was staring directly at her, and she couldn't even look away. Suddenly Naruto grinned, and looked back in his book, as if nothing happened at all. "Oh my god, Naruto-kun looked at me," she thought. Mizuki called out Kiba and Shino next. "Begin." Kiba and Shino looked each other over, and they were deciding a way to win quickly. Kiba finally ran out of patience, and called his nin-kin. "Akamaru, let's get this over with," he shouted, and they both rushed Shino, but they soon fell after a couple of steps. Kiba looked down, and saw that he was fucked. He saw at least a couple hundred bugs at his feet, working their way up. He also felt his chakra leaving him by the second. When he looked at Shino, he saw a slight smirk on his face. "Give up, Kiba-san, lest you want to be in the hospital for chakra exhaustion," he informed. Kiba pouted for looking so weak in his rival's eyes, but nodded. "I give." Ino faced Choji, and lost, because she was looking at Sasuke the entire time. Shikamaru didn't want to fight Amy, so he just gave up. Mizuki smirked at the last spars of the second and final test. He may not be able to fail the boy, but he would be humiliated in front of everybody. "Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, please come up to spar," he announced. The two self-proclaimed super rivals came up, and shook each other's hands in a show of respect. "Begin," Mizuki shouted, with barely hidden glee. Naruto and Sasuke jumped back, and threw kunai and shuriken at each other, to get an opening. "Uchiha, give up, I'd hate to embarrass you in front of your fans," Naruto taunted. Sasuke growled. "Shut up, idiot. How about this? No ninjutsu, just taijutsu," he proposed. Naruto didn't care, hell, he was actually happy. The only jutsu he could do was the Kage Bunshin. Yeah, now let's get to it. I want to get my Hitai 8 and go home to Kiko-chan." And they dropped into their taijutsu stances. Everyone present wasn't surprised at Sasuke's interceptor fist, as it was his clan's famed stance, but when they saw Naruto's jujutsu stance, they gasped. It was the stance of the Hake Rokuhui on show. Naruto beckoned Sasuke to attack, and Sasuke complied. "Uzumaki, you will rue the moment you let me attack." After all that, he stopped, as he was launched in the air, and struck in the right arm with a chakra-induced palm strike. Naruto grinned. "Rue? Teme, you have been watching too many movies. You will bow down to the power known as jujutsu," he cackled. Naruto stood in the stance he dropped into, and waited for his opponent to get up. Sasuke tried to move his right arm, but couldn't. What did you do to my arm? Tell me, he commanded. The blonde smirked. A chakra-induced palm strike to your tendon in your arm is what I did. Don't worry, you'll be able to use it again, but later though, now on guard, he yelled. The spectators were in awe. Iruka, whom just returned, had his jaw wide open. They knew Naruto's clan was into taijutsu, but to be able to do that. Amazing. Sasuke didn't move, so Naruto rushed him, but kept his guard up. If you won't move, then you lost. Kukiyashi. Naruto stuck his palm out, and hit him in the left side of his chest, and knocked the wind out of him, and sent him flying. Naruto walked to his instructors, and pulled out his book. I win, and may I have my Hitai 8? He asked, as Iruka pulled out a headband, and handed it to Naruto. Naruto sat against a tree, happy that he graduated. Iruka got out of his shock. To everyone here, you passed the exam. Me and Mizuki are proud to call you shinobi. You see, the true exam was the 3 jutsu that you did in the room, and the ninjutsu and taijutsu that you performed were to see what teams to assign you to. The Hokage needed to know your strengths and weaknesses to give you all a good enough team, and not hold any of you back. He explained. Iruka, still pissed off, finished the speech. Now, just because you passed the exam, doesn't mean you are elite ninja. You will have to work hard, and persevere through many trials, but for now, you are genin. Report here at 11 in the morning for team assignments. Me and Iruka are extremely proud of you all, and you are dismissed, he exclaimed, and the both of them left in a cloud of smoke. The students went to their parents outside of the academy, and Naruto saw Sasuke pass him, pissed off, and he saw his mother waiting for the brooder. Naruto sighed with a nosebleed at the sight of the wonderful, hot Uchiha. He also saw Kiko walk up to him, and he wiped the nosebleed away, not wanting to go through extra taijutsu training. Hey Kiko-chan, ready to leave? He asked. She smiled and snatched the book, putting a frown on the boy's face. Yup, now I am, but tell me what happened today, Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned, and pulled out another book. God. Let me tell you what I did to the Teme, he started. Thank you.